Hi, Queens. Today I want to get into a topic that has been weighing heavy on my heart lately, and that's grace. Not just grace for others, but the grace we need to give ourselves as we navigate this messy, sometimes painful journey of healing. As a healer, I often find myself in a space where I'm guiding other women through their healing journeys, but I forget that being a healer does not mean I'm magically healed or that I don't face my own battles. We are all fighting the good fight. I want to share something personal that happened this past weekend. That's the reason why I'm even bringing this topic to everyone's attention because I dealt with something that really knocked me down emotionally. It was a regular weekend. We just wanted to get out the house, enjoy some fresh air, and do something fun. So we decided to go to an apple orchard. Simple, right? A family day out, nothing too crazy. But I wasn't prepared for the emotional roller coaster that followed. So we get to the line to ride the tractor out to the apple picking area, and there's a man handling the crowd. At first, he seemed really friendly. Everything was going well. He was making conversation with me, and we were the only ones in line waiting. So it was all good. But then all of a sudden, his tone just completely shifted. And I was taken back because I was like, wait, what are you talking about? He wasn't talking to me anymore. He was actually talking to my daughter. And mid sentence, he just shifted talking to her. And he was talking to her, but because she was innocently fiddling with a lock on the chain, just being a curious kid. And all of a sudden, he snapped at her. He said, "Don't touch that lock." And at first, I thought maybe it wasn't a big deal, but then he repeated himself and even louder. And it just, he said something that kind of left me in shock. He said, "I'll take those chains and tie you up with them and show you your mom how it can be to have only one child." I froze. I don't even know. My whole body shut down. And all I could do was nervously laugh because I couldn't process what had just happened. And worse, I didn't speak up. I didn't protect my daughter. I didn't say anything. I just let it happen. Even now, I tear up because it's not right and I'm not okay with that. And let me be real with you. In that moment, I felt every trauma from my past rush to the surface. All the times I didn't stand up for myself, I couldn't stand up for myself. All the times I let things slide, and all the moments I felt powerless, it all came just flooding back. I felt paralyzed in my emotions. And you know what? The guilt for not speaking up, I feel like that hit me the hardest. My daughter, she didn't deserve that. She didn't even know what was really happening. Just innocently playing with a lock. That's it. But I was her mom and I feel like I didn't protect her. That's what broke me. How could I not shield her from that man's words? How could I let her down like that? I remember the feeling growing up. I remember the things that I experienced growing up, and I felt terrible. But it wasn't just about that one interaction. There's a deeper layer to this, and it's rooted in generations of trauma. An older white man talking to my black daughter about tying her up with chains? Come on now. The weight of history hit me. That trauma is woven into the fabric of my being. It's generational. And moments like this pull it to the surface. I couldn't even sleep. I was furious and sad and disappointed in myself. It's just so many different emotions. I had so much sacred rage inside and I couldn't process it. It was just a lot. I apologized to my daughter later and I didn't even know why in that moment. I was making excuses for him, saying he was probably joking, but that's bullshit. That wasn't enough. You see, at that point, that's where the grace comes in because the journey of healing, it's not linear. Healing is messy. It doesn't matter if you're a healer, a teacher, a mom, or a freaking CEO. Every single one of us has our moments when we falter, we feel like we're failing and don't know what to do. I struggled with so much guilt and shame because I'm supposed to be the one who knows how to navigate these situations, right? But when you're triggered and you're in that moment, sometimes you revert back to old habits, and that's just human. Before we wrap up, I want to give you something actionable. 5 things to focus on when you find yourself reacting in ways that aren't what you had hoped. These are specifically for you moms who are balancing so much while trying to heal, grow, and still take care of your families. We need to acknowledge that even when our reactions aren't perfect, we are still worthy of grace and understanding. So, here are 5 things to remember. The first thing I want you to focus on is simply acknowledging your emotions without judging yourself for feeling them. It's okay to feel anger, frustration, guilt, or disappointment. These emotions are a part of our human experience, especially when triggered by difficult situations. But instead of beating yourself up for having them, recognize them. Say, yes, I'm feeling this, and know that it's okay. You don't have to immediately fix your feelings or change them. Just acknowledge them and give yourself space to process. The second thing is to remind yourself that you are healing, not fully healed. There will be days when you are triggered, when you react in ways that surprise or even disappoint you. But this doesn't mean that you failed. It means you're human. Every reaction is a step in your healing, whether it's what you hoped for or not. Be gentle with yourself and know that one misstep doesn't undo all the progress you've made. Third, I want you to take time to reflect on what happened, but from a place of compassion. Ask yourself, what was really going on in that moment? Sometimes our reactions come from deeper wounds or past traumas. When you reflect, don't do it to criticize yourself, but to understand yourself better. What were you feeling before the situation? What might have been triggered? What can you learn from this about your own healing journey? Approach this reflection with the same kindness you would give to a friend. The fourth thing is to reframe the experience as a lesson. So often we beat ourselves up for not getting it right when things go wrong. But what if instead of seeing the situation as a failure, we saw it as a lesson? What can you take away from this moment that will help you next time? Maybe it's that you need to set clear boundaries, or maybe it's just recognizing that you're still working through something deeper. Whatever the case, each experience brings you closer to the version of yourself you're trying to become. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, give yourself the same grace you so easily give to others. As moms, we are often quick to offer comfort, understanding, and forgiveness to our children, partners, and friends. But when it comes to ourselves, we tend to be our harshest critics. I want you to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, if this was someone I love going through this, how would I respond to them? Now give that same love, compassion, and grace to yourself. You deserve it just as much as anyone else. I know this healing journey can be difficult, and there are days when it feels like you've taken 2 steps back from every step forward. But remember, the progress isn't always about perfection. It's about showing up, learning, and continuing to move through the challenges with grace. When you find yourself in a moment where your reaction isn't what you wanted, come back to these 5 things. Acknowledge your emotions, understand that healing is a journey, reflect with compassion, reframe the experience, and give yourself the grace you give to others. Thank you for sticking with me through this video. I hope these tips resonate with you as much as they do for me. As always, thank you for being here. Until next time, give yourself some grace. You're worth it.